Hello dear friends, welcome to English Time. Are you all keeping fine and safe at home? Very good. Have you done your last class assignments? Okay, well done. Are you ready for English Time? The last class we were discussing about Cinderella, the women in women work and Amanda. Do you remember them? All of them lack freedom. Now I am going to introduce a person who struggled for the education of children, especially for girls and women. I'll give you some clues about that person. Can you identify? The person is a young girl. Can you say who is that? No idea? She is a Pakistani. I think you are getting more idea about this. Can you say now? She was shot by militant. I think you are clear now. Some of you are already identified. I'll give you one more clue. She got Nobel Prize in 2014. Now it's very clear. Can you say now? See her picture also here. Come on, who is she? She is Malala Yousafzai. She got Nobel Prize in 2014. After receiving Nobel Prize for Peace, she delivered a wonderful speech in the Assembly of United Nations Organization. Are you ready to hear her once? Okay, see here.
I don't know where to begin my speech. I don't know what people would be expecting me to say. But first of all, thank you to God, for whom we all are equal. And thank you to every person who has prayed for my fast recovery and a new life. I cannot believe how much love people have shown me. I have received thousands of good wish cards and gifts from all over the world. Thank you to all of them. Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights. On the 9th of October 2012, the Taliban shot me on the left side of my forehead. They shot my friends too. They thought that the bullet would silence us. But they failed. And out of that silence came thousands of voices. The terrorists thought that they would change my aims and stop my ambitions. But nothing changed in my life except this. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died. Strength, power, and courage was born.
Did you hear her speech? At the beginning of the speech, Malala thanked children, elders, parents, doctors, and nurses. Can you say why? Yes, I told you she was shot by militant and she was admitted to the hospital in Pakistan. Later, she was shifted to UK. She went through different crucial stages of her recovery. At that time, All the people around the world prayed for her speedy recovery. That's why she thanked all of them. The militants in the Swat Valley did not allow her to go to school. Not only Malala, but the girls in the Swat Valley. Do you know when is Malala Day? Can you say now? Okay, it is the 12th of July. What is she saying about Malala Day? Whom she is dedicating her day? It is the day of children. It is the day of girls. It is the day of women who raised their voice for rights. She dedicated her day to such a people. She mentioned hundreds of women activists in the speech, but she did not say their names. Let me introduce some of activists who raised their voice for the education of children and especially for women. Are you ready? He is an Indian. Any idea? He got Nobel Prize for Peace along with Malala Yousafzai. Okay? You are right. Okay, that is Kailash Satyarthi.
I am representing here the sound of silence, the cry of innocence, and the face of invisibility. I represent millions of those children who are left behind, and that's why I have kept an empty chair as a reminder. I've come here only to share the voices and dreams of our children, because they are all our children. I have looked into their frightened and exhausted eyes. I've held their injured bodies, and I have felt their broken spirits. 20 years ago, in the foothills of the Himalayas, I met a small, skinny child laborer. He asked me, "Is the world so poor that it cannot give me a toy and a book instead of forcing me to take a gun or a tool?" I met a Sudanese child soldier. He was kidnapped by an extremist militia. As his first lesson, he was forced to kill his friends and family. He asked me, "What is my fault?" 12 years ago, a child mother from the streets of Colombia, trafficked, enslaved, raped, asked me this, "I have never had a dream. Can my child have one?" Friends, all the great religions teach us to care for our children. Jesus said, "Let the children come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to them." Holy Quran says, "Kill not your children because of poverty." Friends, there is no greater violence than to deny the dreams of our children. Therefore, I refuse to accept that all the temples and mosques and churches and prayer houses have no place for the dreams of our children. I refuse to accept that the world is so poor when just 1 week of military expenditure can bring all the children to classrooms. I refuse to accept that all the laws and constitutions and police and judges are unable to protect our children. I refuse to accept that the shackles of slavery can ever be more stronger than the quest for freedom. I refuse to accept here. My only aim in life is that every child is free to be a child, free to grow and develop, free to eat, sleep, and see daylight, free to laugh and cry, free to play and learn, free to go to school, and above all, free to dream.
The second person is a woman. She was born and brought up in West Bengal, raised her voice for women. She established a school in West Bengal for the first time for women. Have you got any idea? Can you say? Can you identify her picture here? Yes, you are right. That is Savitri Devi.
While our history books focus on the contributions of a privileged few, let nobody forget Savitribai Jyotiba Phule, who dedicated her life to championing the cause of the oppressed. It was Savitribai's crusade against Brahminical patriarchy that set the ball rolling for intersectional feminism and education for all in our country. Born in 1831 in Naigaon, Maharashtra, and belonging to the Mali community, Savitribai was married by age 9 to Jyotiba Phule, who was 13. At a time when lower caste men and all women weren't allowed to study, Savitribai Phule, along with her husband, spearheaded a movement that led to the emancipation of many from Brahmanism, patriarchy, and feudalism. Savitribai and Jyotiba Phule defied social norms to educate themselves, setting up the first school for women in India. Despite being the very first female teacher and headmistress of India, Savitribai is an icon we don't often learn about. The couple set up several schools in Maharashtra for women and Dalits. The curriculum of these schools focused on science, social sciences, and mathematics. A complete departure from school teaching back then, which taught the Shastras and Vedas to Brahmins only. And guess what? The number of girls attending the schools run by the Phules far exceeded the number of boys. A pioneer of women's rights in India, Savitribai was also responsible for setting up a feminist organization, the Mahila Seva Mandal, where women across all class, caste, religion were welcome. She was very vocal about her support for widow remarriage and actively campaigned against child marriage. She even sparked a barber strike in Mumbai and Pune as an act of protest against the practice of shaving women's heads. She set up a home for the prevention of infanticide, welcoming expecting widows into her own house so that they could safely deliver their babies. The two also started the Satya Shodhak Samaj, an organization representing minorities and their interests at a time when they weren't allowed a voice or a platform. Satyashodhak intercaste marriages challenged the existing status quo, and Savitribai Phule stood undaunted for the rights of those persecuted by the caste system. After Jyotiba's death, Savitribai went on to head the organization. A crusader for education and empowerment through and through, Savitribai wrote feisty prose and poetry, inspiring the oppressed to rise up against the ruling classes. She published Kavya Phule in 1854 and Bhavan Kashi Subodh Ratnakar in 1892. Savitribai set up a clinic for the treatment for those affected by bubonic plague, and in 1897 herself succumbed to plague while tending to a patient. But Savitribai's life story would remain incomplete without the mention of Fatima Sheikh, another phenomenal woman who led the crusade against Brahminical patriarchy alongside the Phule couple.
Now let me mention another name of an activist. He was born in princely state of Travancore. Any idea? Born in 1863. He struggled for the education of young girl Panchami. Can you identify now? He is none other than Mahatma Ayyangali.
Ayyangali, a Bahujan revolutionary from agro-slave community of Kerala, fought against the social inequality and caste discrimination. At times, when education is prohibited for the Bahujans, Ayyangali opened schools for them despite the continuous attacks from the Savarnas. When the Brahmanic order did not allow the Bahujan women of Kerala to cover their breasts, it was Ayyangali who ruled out this order and brought liberation to them. He is also the crusader of people's rights for education and opened several schools like Mahatma Jyotiba Phule. In Kerala, access to public spaces was denied for Dalits. It means that they were not allowed to enter the streets at any cost, and its violation results in severe punishment. Ayyangali broke this immoral Brahmanic social order by walking across the prohibited street along with his men. But the Savarnas engaged in physical fight with the Bahujans not to allow them to walk on the prohibited streets, and this is popularly called as Chaliya riots. He mobilized the people through plays of social protest. Since the schools did not allow the Bahujan children to educate, Ayyangali opened a school for them. The school started by Ayyangali had no blackboards. Sand on the floor was the book and finger the pencil. Ayyangali established Sadhujana Paripalana Sangam in 1907 to bring unity among marginalized castes and turned it into mass movements for equality. The Sabha stands against the social discrimination. Ayyangali headed the first agrarian strike in the history. As a result of that strike, the landlords of the Kerala burned the huts of the Dalits and committed atrocities on them. One of his famous protests against the Brahmanical Hindu social order is his ride on the bullock cart through the streets of Kerala against the supremacy of the upper castes. With this brave step, he asserted the right to freedom of movement in the public streets. Another famous movement carried out by Ayyangali is right to women to cover their breasts. He asked the women to leave their chains of marble stones, which were a form of slavery. Ayyangali believed less in making speeches and more in concerted action to achieve his aims. He gave more importance to creative activities. Ayyangali started parallel courts to settle matters between the members of his community. Ayyangali started the magazine Sadhujana Paripalani, which was probably the first to be brought out by the untouchables. Ayyankali advocated for economic developments of Bahujans. Progress through education and organization was his slogan. Ayyankali was not only a leader of his community, but also an unshakable guide and commander of the working classes.
Okay, now you have understood some of the activists who raised their voice for the education of women and girls. Now you have to prepare a picture album who raised their voice for girls and women and give a short description under each photograph. Will you prepare? Prepare and send to your teacher. Do you know what is the importance of light? No light, no life. The ultimate source of energy is light. No doubt. But when do we understand the importance of life? When darkness comes. When do we understand the importance of voice? When we are silenced. When did Malala realize the importance of pen and book? When she saw guns. We know that the pen is mightier than sword. It is a true saying. Terrorist, extremist, they all are afraid of pen and book. They are afraid of education. They are afraid of voice of women. Do you know who is the victim of war and terrorism? As we all that the peace is necessary for education. The children are facing lot of problems. These all are hindrance to the growth of children. It is a hindrance to their education. Now we can conclude by underlining the difficult words. Thank you.